So would you please stand as you are able for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mayor and commissioners, let me thank you for letting me be a part of this, and thank you for letting the meetings be open with prayer. I mean, I'm sure that there are both imams and rabbis and Protestants and Catholics who stand here and subject you to all kinds of advice and lectures, and I'm not going to do any of that, but thank you very much. Thank you for your service. You deal with difficult topics, and I don't always agree with everything you do, but I appreciate so much what you do. And I do want to say, as a clergy person, that I appreciate your adding the non-discrimination clause to the county charter on the basis of sexual orientation. Thank you for doing that. It took some courage on the parts of some of you to do that. Let us pray. Thank you, O God, for Macon, Georgia, for Macon and for Bibb County. Thank you for every part of this county, from Rivoli Road to the Sardis Church Road, from the Jeffersonville Highway and Joy Cliff Road all the way to Lower Thomaston. Thank you, O God, that we live in this beautiful community of people and rolling hills. Thank you for every neighborhood, for every home in this community and every family. Please, O God, measure our greatness not on how we treat the most powerful, but measure our greatness on how we pay attention to the homeless and the immigrant and the incarcerated and the undereducated and the dropouts. Oh God, help us to be open to how we can make this community a better place for each person. I thank you for these who make our decisions. Thank you that they have offered themselves for us, oh God. May you help them to work with each other. May you help them to listen to these citizens who have given their time tonight to come and to speak when this preacher gets done praying. Lord, pour your blessings out upon what happens here. And thank you for your leadership. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be
Thank
seated.
you.
Our invocation tonight was given by Reverend Creed Henshaw, retired Methodist pastor who served congregations across South Georgia for 36 years, including 4 years at Wesley United Methodist Church on Hartley Bridge Road and 12 years at Mulberry Street United Methodist Church on the corner of Mulberry and First. Pastor Crenshaw, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it. Our Pledge of Allegiance was led by three of our GCAPS students. GCAP stands for Georgia Civic Awareness Program for Students. It is a year-long program that involves high school students from every high school across Bibb County that come together to learn more about the government. And tonight, Olivia Plaxic, Olivia Plaxic, who is a junior at the Academy for Classical Education, that's ACE, where she focuses on her academics while being involved as a volunteer at Central Georgia Autism. Also, she leads the Georgia Secretary of State Student Ambassador Program at her school. Olivia believes civic education is definitely important for today's youth because this generation is the next wave of adults that are affected by the choices made in the legislature today. Civic education provides a strong foundation toward making the smartest decision we can using our voices as citizens to speak for what we believe in, unquote. Also tonight, Edna Rutland. Edna, Edna's a junior at Central High School, where she is an honor student, Beta Club, Future Business Leaders of America, and the International Thespian Honor Society. She volunteers as a tutor at Alexander II Magnet School, serves meals to the homeless, and prepares snacks and refreshments for youth soccer practices. Edna believes, quote, if today's youth are to become good and responsible citizens in the future, they must be informed and knowledgeable of current events at all levels of government, unquote. And finally, Kirsten Williams. Kirsten? Kirsten is a junior at First Presbyterian Day School, where she maintains a high GPA. Last summer, Kirsten worked at a youth camp and expanded her leadership skills. She believes civic education is important since the current youth can change the society, but they are unable to make the change if they are not educated in the field. Education in government and roles in a productive environment are just as important as math and science, unquote. You know, in this day and age when we hear so much about youth and youth violence and this, that, it's refreshing to see such three fine high school students that are doing so much. So y'all help me thank them for what they're doing and for being here with us tonight. Thank you all very much. Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes, one from our pre-commission meeting of January the 16th, another set of minutes from our regular commission meeting held January the 16th, and finally the minutes of our special called meeting held on January 31st up in Athens. Are there any changes or corrections or additions? If not, can I get a motion by Commissioner Schlesinger, second by Commissioner Bechtel, to approve all 3 sets of minutes? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the 3 sets of minutes signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Next is a special presentation for us. Give me just a minute to find my notes. If it had been a snake, it had bit me. We are honored tonight to make a note of a service to this commission. We had elections up in Athens for Mayor Pro Tem and long-serving Mayor Pro Tem Bert Bivens gracefully indicated that he would like somebody else to take over his role, and Mayor Pro Tem now, Tillman, was elected at that meeting. But tonight we wanted to take just a minute to say thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Tillman and to former Mayor Pro Tem Bert Bivens. For a little more than 4 years, Commissioner Bert Bivens has served our community faithfully as its first ever Mayor Pro Tem of the consolidated Macon-Bibb County government, bringing the two governments together to create a new one, all while striving to provide the services and representation our community expects and deserves. Hadn't always been the smoothest road, but it's a road that the people put us on. And I want to take a moment to thank Commissioner Bivens for his leadership throughout this process and for always thinking of the people he represents as well as those in all parts of the county. Commissioner Bivens' leadership, though, didn't start in 2014 when we consolidated. He's been a driving force for positive change in our community for decades. He was a leader and key figure in local civil rights movements that led to the integration of our public school system, the ensuring that all children had access to an education that could make them successful later in life. He first became a commissioner with the former Bibb County government in 1995, serving as chairman of the committees on properties and ordinances and resolutions and as liaison for the Land Bank Authority, Health Department, Regional Commission, and Economic Opportunity Council. He's been our representative on both the Macon Water Authority and the Health Department, both institutions which have a direct impact on our daily life. Our water has been rated as best tasting in the country, and our health department is currently planning to create a 21st century facility to best serve the health needs of our entire community, and with a brand new crisis stabilization unit for which Commissioner Bivens was an ardent advocate, and we're delighted that that's underway. During his time, he has spearheaded our Blight Committee and been a continual advocate for blight remediation in every part of the commission, every part of the county, which has led to more than 200 houses being demolished, new parks being created, new community center being built, and more. He is also a champion for student leadership and has helped guide our youth commission, a group of high school students learning about local, state, and federal government, the GCAPS program that I spoke about, all while trying to make a difference in our community. As a leader with our youth commission, he was recognized at the state level by the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia with the 2015 Civic and Community Engagement Advocate of the Year. Locally, Macon-Bibb has created the Burt Bivens III Leadership Award, and it has been awarded to a student each year since consolidation. He's not leaving us, so this isn't supposed to be a goodbye or a farewell. Commissioner Bivens has served faithfully as our first Mayor Pro Tem, and I, and along with the fellow commissioners, look forward to your continued presence and working with you on individual commissioners, committees. Commissioner Bivens, in honor of your service as Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to present you with this plaque for your service as Mayor Pro Tem and for your community leadership, and I want to express my personal thanks to you, sir. As I said earlier, we've elected a new Mayor Pro Tem, and that's Mayor Pro Tem Al Tillman. Moving forward, I want to congratulate Mayor Pro Tem Tillman on his being elected last week at our annual retreat to be our new Mayor Pro Tem. He has big shoes to fill, but he wears big shoes. I think he'll do a wonderful job, and I know he's ready for the challenge and ready to find new ways to serve all of Macon-Bibb County. He's been a member of our commission since we consolidated in 2014, diligently representing the people of District 9 while also taking calls and addressing concerns from people all over the county. He also served our community for several decades, going back to his time in the United States Army with the 48th Brigade in Desert Storm and Desert Shield after training at Fort Jackson. After protecting us overseas, Mayor Pro Tem continued his service to the community here locally. He's past president of the local branch of the NAACP and was chairman of the American Red Cross Minority Recruitment Board. He was appointed by 2 different mayors to serve on our Macon-Bibb County Housing Authority and our Planning and Zoning Commission, working to both provide people with affordable quality housing and helping to guide the future of residential and commercial development in our community. As a child of Unionville, and living in Bloomfield for more than 20 years, Mayor Pro Tem Tillman understands that the future rests entirely with what we do today that will make our youth successful tomorrow. To that end, he's created a nonprofit, Unity in Community, that would bridge this generational gap through education and community. He has served on his child's elementary school parent council. His leadership and understanding of the needs of District 9 and Macon-Bibb County have led him to ensure SPLOST and blight remediation program funds were allocated to finally create the long-promised Fillmore Thomas Park. What used to be an overgrown, unused area on Log Cabin is now a premier destination for families in that area and from other neighborhoods around. He's led the efforts to ban the box, in which we recognize that people that have served their time for crimes committed can still contribute to society and should be given a second chance. He frequently holds forums for people in his district on issues the government and community are facing, as well as career fairs to help get people employed. He also works closely with the Workforce Development Board to get the people their GED or additional skills that will lead to gainful employment. He was also the first commissioner after consolidation to earn his certification as a commissioner through the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia and the Carl Vinson Institute of Government. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming our new Mayor Pro Tem, Al Tillman. Look forward to working with you. There are no other invited guests of which I am aware, but as I say, we are delighted that each and every one of you are here. Next item on our agenda of public comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Lucas?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and fellow commissioners, since February, we're already, 6 days into February, and February is Black History Month. Is there an appropriate way for us to go ahead and approve the resolution on Black history and do the presentation at this time?
Without objection to a change in the agenda to move the resolution approving February as so without objection then we'll move that one up. Give me just a minute, Commissioner Lucas, and let's see if we can't find that is item, ma'am? H. Item H on the agenda, and I'll ask the clerk, would you like the entire resolution read?
Yes.
Can you pull up the entire resolution,
Yes,
please,
sir.
ma'am?
I've got
I
it
think
right
that would
here.
be appropriate.
Okay. A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to recognize the month of February 2018 as Black History Month and to provide for other lawful purposes. Whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who worked in Kentucky coal mines as a child and was the son of former slaves, proposed and launched a week-long celebration of the individuals and occasions having a significant impact on African American history in America. And whereas Dr. Woodson chose the month of February to conduct this commemoration because the birthdays of two men whose actions have significantly affected African Americans in this country are in February, namely Frederick Douglass, the gifted orator, writer, and statesman, who was tireless advocate of the anti-slavery movement, and Abraham Lincoln, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation and is considered to be one of America's greatest presidents. And whereas in 1976, the commemoration was extended from a week-long event to the entire month of February, and whereas during the month of February 2018, across the United States of America and throughout the Macon-Bibb County community, observances are held to increase public awareness of the importance of Black history and the numerous contributions that African Americans have made in support of their country and local communities. And whereas, not only during the month of February 2018, but throughout the remainder of the year, it is important that we reach out in seeking to understand one another in a peaceful and loving way. And whereas this resolution will benefit and promote the health, safety, morals, and welfare of the citizens of Macon-Bibb County, and now therefore be it resolved by the Macon-Bibb County Commission, and it is hereby so resolved by the authority of the same, that the Macon-Bibb County Commission recognizes the month of February 2018 as Black History Month and urges the citizens of Macon-Bibb County be mindful of the contributions of African Americans and of all the citizens throughout the year. Be it further resolved, the Macon-Bibb County Commission hereby declares that the foregoing preamble, and whereas provisions set forth herein above constitute and shall be considered to be substantive provisions of this resolution and are hereby incorporated by reference into this provision. Be it further resolved that in the event Scrivener's errors shall be discovered in this resolution after the adoption hereof, the Macon-Bibb County Commission hereby authorizes and directs that each scrivener's error should be corrected in all multiple counterparts of this resolution. Be it further resolved, the Macon-Bibb County Commission grants the mayor the authority to take any and all further action necessary to carry out the intent and purposes of this resolution. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its approval by the mayor and upon its adoption into law without such approval.
The Economic and Community Development recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Lucas?
Yes, I appreciate the reading of that. And I want everyone to know that not only will we be recognizing Black History Month, but we will also be recognizing Women's History Month during March, and other groups in our community who play a vital role in keeping this community strong and vibrant. Ms. Mayor and fellow commissioners, I've invited the president of the local branch NAACP, if you would stand. We also, are there others with the NAACP? All right. We have Sarah Hunt, who is the local president of National Action Network, if you would stand. We have Mr. Curry, who is the president of the local senior citizens group. And we have Rabbi Schlesinger, who serves with me as a member of the Macon-Bibb Martin Luther King Commission. If you, yeah. All right. Are there others that were invited specifically? We have Cornelia Walker, who is the publisher of the Georgia Informer, if you would. These are special guests, and they are here to proudly accept our designation of February here in Macon-Bibb as Black History Month. But it's not just about celebrating and talking about it. It is about doing something about it to make sure that we don't continue to lose parts of our heritage. There's rich Black history that we are losing every day. There's rich Indian history, Asian, other histories that we are losing all the time. So we need to be committed to making sure that we don't lose our past, because we need to have it around so that we don't make the mistakes again that we have in the past. So I want to thank the mayor and fellow commissioners for your support, and ask you in advance for a unanimous vote of approval designating February, the shortest month, as Black History Month.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you very much, Commissioner Lucas, and thank you, invited guest. I'm sorry I overlooked you. Didn't intend to. Thought that was going to be just down in the minute. So thank you very much, Commissioner Lucas, for bringing that up. That takes us back now to item 6, which is public comments on agenda items. This is a time for people to talk to us about an item that is on the agenda for action tonight, so that we hear from you before we vote. Those that want to address us on non-agenda items will be at a later time. And I understand we've got Michael Pinson, I'm sorry, that wants to talk to us about the splosh along Jeffersonville Road. Very good, sir. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I noticed that you have it on your agenda, but I can't find anything else on Splash. Like, when does the project start? How long will it last? And why, on Jeffersonville Road, all of the houses on one side of the street have disappeared? And that leads me to believe that you're going to have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes?
I'm sorry, I don't have all of those answers for you at this point, and this is not supposed to be a back and forth. This is your time. No. This is your time to talk to us, sir.
Right. These are the questions I'm posing to you, and you can take them as a question, or you can take them as a narrative. I just want to know, in the future, are you going to address these items publicly, or am I just to believe that Splash is a sign and road commissions are coming to widen the roads, beautify the roads, add a sidewalk, whatever you plan on doing? I'm asking these questions because I live on the side of the road where there's no houses, and from what I understand, there is a right of way. I don't know how many feet it is, but that right of way will put, depending on how many lanes that they widen this road, will put that utility pole as well as traffic within 30 feet of my front porch. Now, if they widen it any further, that means the Georgia Power pole will be sitting right next to my bedroom window. So that poses a problem as far as if the rectifier should ever blow up, if the wire should ever fall, I'm a target. So I like to have you all take this into consideration. When you do vote, there's one person that actually lives on that side of Jeffersonville Road from Emory Highway to Millerfield that, you know, I feel I'm in jeopardy because I've never been explained or publicly found out any information on Splash besides the fact that it's a state-run program. And I find it hard to believe that Macon-Bibb does not know what the state of Georgia is doing in Macon-Bibb's backyard. So no one can ever explain to me, as many people that I've talked to, they don't know what's going on. They tell me the same thing. It's a state-run program. So effectively, go ahead.
Again, this is not supposed to be a give and take as much as it is your time to address us about issues that you feel are of concern.
Right. Well, I wasn't asking for any dialogue, but
right.
You motioned like you wanted to say something. So it was just a general courtesy.
Well, no, I'm just trying to look interested.
Oh, okay.
Well, that came across terribly wrong, and I didn't mean it that way. But the point. I guess I can say this. I guess I can say this on behalf of the commission. The process that you're talking about is a very long process that starts out run by the State Department of Transportation, and they usually have public hearings and where they post designs and bring people in to show them what they're doing. And that would have happened probably years ago, I'm confident. So that would have been an opportunity for you to gather information about it. Then they move along to final design, and there have been a number of changes in the recent few months because they've needed to acquire additional right-of-way in certain portions. And so if you have not been contacted by the Georgia Department of Transportation, then they must not need any additional right-of-way from your front yard.
Before we go on with this back and forth, I've only been here since October 2nd, so I've been inquiring since November 2nd on what's going on Jeffersonville Road as far as this project is concerned. Now, again, there is no public information, and the people that you do talk to turn a deaf ear as if to say, I'm trying to look interesting. But again, these are my concerns. I do not know, I have not personally met my representative for my district, but I did shoot him an email Friday with my concerns. I have not heard from him. I hope to hear from him after this meeting because I don't understand what the government is doing. You know, I've seen this happen before in other communities where they take an area projected for improvement and they let the area go down. They just let it fall down in the dirt, and it's a desolate place to live. And then when all of the property values are gone, all of the residents are gone, and the land is just sitting there, then they come in and they improve it. Improve it for what? Are they improving it for the people who live there, or are they improving it for people in the future that they think deserve to be in that area?
Right. Your time has expired, but let me turn this over to the county attorney to advise you. She's telling me that there's a meeting scheduled for April. Is that right?
Well, Commissioner Lucas was saying that there is a public meeting that's scheduled in April about this, and so.
Get more details in place, drawings and all of that, there'll be a meeting in April.
Commissioner Lucas has advised me that there'll be a meeting out there in your neighborhood in April to kind of show you the plans that have been finalized for the project.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you being here, and thank you very much for your comments. Next, Ms. Hunt, Sarah Hunt wants to talk to us about item G, the disability exemption.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about G. Article G, you're saying here you want to amend Section 22 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 22 of the Code to provide a disability exemption from the fee for providing solid waste collection and disposal services. I declare that you need to redo the entire ordinance. We're in the process now. We have close 10,000 signatures. That is the requirement of the state of Georgia, according to the state of Georgia Constitution, for citizens to repeal an ordinance passed by the county. We're in the process of doing that. We have an attorney, and we're moving forward. We want this changed. There are too many people that have vacant houses that you're charging them $300. Not one stitch of garbage is ever picked up from that house, but you want them to pay $300 garbage fee. That is not fair. We're paying for a service that's not being rendered. And I don't know anywhere that you pay for a service that you're not getting. You don't go to the grocery store and pay for grocery that you don't take home. You don't go to the golf course and pay to play and then don't play. So I don't think it's fair for you to treat us, the citizens of Macon-Bibb County, making us pay for a service that we're not getting. If somebody is living in the house, garbage is being collected, that's fair. There are people that live in a neighborhood. They have a container, families that live together, they have a container that they pay for their garbage to be put in, and they pay for that garbage to be picked up, and you still sent everyone on that property, for every house on that property, you sent them a bill for each one of those houses, and you're not collecting any garbage from their house at any time. I think they're sitting in the audience. So that's not fair. So once the 10,000, I think we are short about 1,086 signatures, and after this week, hopefully we will have them, and we are filing a suit against the county for this erroneous fee.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt. We appreciate you being here. Finally, Linda Jones wants to talk to us about an alcohol permit that's on the agenda for tonight.
Actually, I'm going to speak on behalf of two different issues, but first I do want to address the alcohol permit for Carr's Grocery at the corner of Fulton Mill and Mount Pleasant Church Road. I have lived on Fulton Mill Road with my family, my grandchildren, my husband, and my children, in-laws, for over 30-something years. The Fulton Mill Road is a thoroughfare from Eisenhower over to Hartley Bridge. I cannot impress upon you the number of times that we have seen wrecks and accidents as you come around that corner. And we all know that alcohol is a negative influence, and it is dangerous. I mean, we live on a curve, and you learn after this many years that when you are going to pull out, you look both ways, and then you look again, because by the time they're coming around that road and around that curve, they have gathered speed. And I am against having an approval for the alcohol permit for Carr's Groceries. And I do hope that all of you are paying attention tonight and are considering seriously what this group of people are bringing towards and bringing to you tonight. We do have serious issues, and this is one of them. And I'm going to save my other one for later, but I do hope that you will consider and vote no for the approval of this.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. We appreciate you being here. Turn it back around. Okay. Appreciate you being there. That brings us now to the next item on our agenda, which are the reports from our standing committees. The first standing committee to report is Operations and Finance Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Beckrell. Chairman Beckrell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Operations Finance Committee met on January 23rd, 2018, took the following action. The committee approved the following agreements: memorandum of understanding with the Macon Housing Authority, providing for the joint collaboration partnership of the HUD required assessment of fair housing. Also approved amending the previous ordinance to include construction for Phase 2 at Freedom Park Ballparks and Recreation, the amount of $384,568 to be paid from 2017 SPLOST bond proceeds. Committee accepted the following grants: a Downtown Challenge grant in the amount of $35,000 from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, Inc., to be used for public art as an economic development project. Committee also accepted the following grant: a Downtown Challenge grant in the amount of $10,000 from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, Inc., to be used for Bring Back the Mac Party, a back-to-school festival held for local colleges and universities. Committee also accepted the following grant: a Downtown Challenge grant in the amount of $15,000 from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, Inc., to be used in the Be a Regular campaign to encourage residents of Macon-Bibb County and the surrounding area to regularly frequent the downtown area. Committee also approved the ordinance to amend the code providing a disability exemption from the fee for providing solid waste collection and disposal services. This concludes the report of Operations Finance for the meeting on January 23rd, 2018.
Thank you, Chairman Beckle. Next committee is Economic and Community Development, and that report will be given to us by Vice Chairman Lucas. Vice Chairman Lucas?
Thank you. This is the Economic and Community Development Committee, which met on January 23rd, 2018, and we took the following action. The committee approved designating February 2018 as Black History Month. This concludes the report of the Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Lucas. Next is Public Safety. I understand there's no report from Public Safety. That takes us to Facilities and Engineering Committee, and that report will be given to us by Vice Chairman Jones. Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes, sir. From January the 23rd, the committee, Facilities and Engineering, met. We heard an update from David Fortson, Director of Engineering, on the Jeffersonville Road project, which is finally starting to move again. That concludes the report.
Very good. Thank you, Vice Chairman Jones. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. There are 2 applications for alcohol beverage licenses that were reviewed by the Committee of the Whole. Each of the applications is accompanied by all of the necessary documentation. The business license application fee, the sheriff's certificate of a satisfactory background check of the applicant, a zoning compliance certificate to say that the building is in compliance, and a distance measurement form to say that it complies with all of the requirements for distance, separation distance from other prohibited facilities like schools and et cetera. And finally, the ad that ran in the Macon Telegraph to notify people. The first application is from Tammy Carr, doing business as Carr's Drive-In Market, and this is for packaged sale of beer to go from that location. The second is an application from Hilltown Entertainment, LLC, doing business as the Crazy Bull at 473 2nd Street. The Committee of the Whole recommends passage or issuance of both licenses. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Lucas.
Thank you. I'm going to vote for both of these. However, with the Cars Drive-In, when we have citizens who come and say that they have some concerns, we need to listen to those and at least address their concerns. And it looks to me like there's some traffic situations going on in that area that need to be addressed. So I would urge our traffic engineer to take a look, maybe our county manager, interim county manager, or our assistant county manager, can take a look at that and possibly request that our traffic engineer take a look at it, and maybe signage, maybe some other things, slowing the speed. There are a number of things that can be recommended for that area, so that we aren't just leaving you with a problem that you've come to us to address. So I would just like to make that suggestion as I support this, because all of the requirements have been met on it, but that doesn't solve your problem. That doesn't help you. So we need to increase the safety in that area for you. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Tillman, got your light on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem Tillman.
Thank you, sir. As it relates to the Crazy Bull, this is not the first time we've been here and heard these concerns. Like the Commissioner Lucas said, I think, people have concerns. We, need to try and address these issues. I'm usually always, listening and getting information from the sheriff. But I think it's a difference here when we talk about the Crazy Bull. It's not, when you talk about complaints, infractions, many times that the law enforcement has been called. You're not talking one time, you're not talking 5 times, you're not talking 10, you're not talking 20, you're not talking 30 times, you're not talking 40 times, you're not talking 50 times, you're not talking 60, 70, 80. We're talking 93 times that calls have came to the sheriff department about the Crazy Bull. So I guess, what do we wait for? 100? What's going to give us a reason for pause? So I support businesses, entrepreneurship, but on this night, I think, need to send a message. I would love to have in place, if that was, within 6 months or something. And maybe we just need to hear from the public and downtown businesses about this. But I just can't vote yes tonight. 93 infractions. And I just can't do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. Is there further discussion? Mr. Bibbins?
Based on what Commissioner Tillman said, I wondered if he wanted to separate those.
Is there a motion to vote on these separately? Motion by Commissioner Tillman, Mayor Pro Tem Tillman, to vote on these separately. Is there objection? Here none, we'll vote on them separately. Then all in favor of issuance of the license for cars drive-in, package sales to go at the location on Mount Pleasant Church Road, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Got one no. Excuse me? Yeah, that was Tammy Cars driving. You vote yes? Okay. So they're all yeses. Any noes on that one? All right. So that's unanimous. That license be issued as requested. Second is Hilltown Entertainment, and that's for mixed drinks, beer, wine, and draft beer to be consumed on the premises at that location on 2nd Street. All in favor of that, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Got one no. That license will be issued as requested. That brings us now then to the next item on our agenda, which I think should be old business. I'm getting there, y'all. I'm getting there. Yeah, old business is next, and the first item of old business is a resolution pertaining to the sale of the Ed DeFore Sports Complex to the Bibb County Board of Education, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the sale of the Ed DeFore Sports Complex, to proceed with the legal process required for the sale of said complex to the Bibb County Board of Education, which includes conducting a public hearing and the issuance of a design build request for proposals for improvement to Henderson Stadium, utilizing funds from the sale of the complex and for other lawful purposes.
The Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Allen?
Is there a possibility, I know this is gonna pass tonight, that we can possibly do it? We got one complex left, that's Henderson Stadium. We should get out of the ball, we don't do anything there at the ballparks. Let the school board run the ballparks. It won't cost us money down the road. We're trying to save as much money as we can. What avenue do I need to take, or this board needs to take, and let the school board do their due diligence in running these ball fields? I mean, they're fixing to take over, if I'm not mistaken, they're gonna take Cal Ripken over. So they're going to have everything. Why not just keep Brad Henderson Stadium with them also?
And I think this would be an excellent discussion item when we get down to improvements to Henderson Stadium. But tonight, what we're trying to vote on
I understand that, but I'm trying to get an understanding, because when we leave here, I won't see you for another week. That's the reason I'm trying to find out. Do I need a resolution to ask that we do that, bring it to the board?
I would not think so. You can obviously take this up with the county attorney. I would think it would be a discussion item on what improvements, if any, to make to Henderson Stadium using the money that we get from the sale of the Ed DeFore Sports Complex, and then what to do with it, what final disposition to make of it. Is there further discussion, Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, you almost, I got choked up there. You were talking about the stadium. That we certainly do need that stadium. It needs to be there. All of our football teams play in there. I remember my children playing when they were at Northeast. They played over there. And there are rivalries that have been formed and stuff. What we need to do, instead of talking about getting rid of that, is we need to fix it up. And one of the options that we discussed was tearing it down and building from the ground up. And I think that is an option that we certainly need to explore. We're supposed to get $3.8 million from the board for Ed DeFore Sports Complex. And we need...
Let's don't have back and forth, please. Commissioner Lucas has the floor.
And we need to add some more to it, because that stadium can afford us a number of opportunities. We used to have college teams to come in here and play. My own alma mater, Savannah State, had a traditional game against the Fort Valley State or Albany State, one of them. Filled it up because people came in here, they stayed in hotels, they bought gas, food, all of this. They had additional activities surrounding those games. We don't have them anymore because Henderson Stadium is crappy and it's dangerous. And so this is the start of what we need to do. We don't need to go backwards. We need to improve facilities like that, or tear it down and build a new one and make it a place where we can have concerts. We need a larger place for people with outdoor concerts. Why do you keep interrupting me?
No.
I've got the floor. Anyway, as I was saying, we need to be building up stuff like Henderson Stadium. We only have one other one, and that's Thompson. So I just think that we don't need to back off of our commitment to youth and for expanding our opportunities to have other events in this community. So I'm in favor of this, and I'm going to be reminding us that we said that renovating is an option, but also tearing down and building brand new is also an option. If we can go down and spend $2.5 million down at Luther Williams Ballpark for a few months in the summer of play, we can certainly spend taxpayers' money for upgrading Henderson Stadium, where everybody at some point in time during the year uses it, or their children or grandchildren use it. So Those are my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Got one no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item B is a resolution to enter into an MOU with the Macon Housing Authority about HUD required assessment of fair housing, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between Macon-Bibb County and the Macon-Bibb County Housing Authority, providing for the joint collaboration and partnership on the HUD required assessment of fair housing and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to amend the construction timeline with SPLOST proceeds from the bonds of 2017 to provide funding for engineering and design of Phase 2 of Freedom Park Ball Fields, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission amending O-17-0031 to include construction in the appropriation of $384,568 from the 2017 SPLOST bond proceeds to provide funding for engineering and design of Phase 2 of the Freedom Park Ball Fields Park and Recreation Capital Project in accordance with the SPLOST project timeline and budget, so as to include construction and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Next is item D, which is a resolution to accept a Downtown Challenge grant from the Community Foundation, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to accept a Downtown Challenge grant in the amount of $35,000 from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, Inc., to be used for the public art as economic development project and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is item E, which is the acceptance of another Downtown Challenge grant, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to accept a Downtown Challenge grant in the amount of $10,000 from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, Inc., to be used for the Bring Back the Mac Party, a back-to-school festival held for local colleges and universities and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. That brings us to item F, which is another Downtown Challenge grant, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to accept a Downtown Challenge grant in the amount of $15,000 from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia, Inc., to be used in the Be a Regular campaign to encourage residents of Macon-Bibb County and the surrounding area to regularly frequent the downtown area and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to provide for a disability exception for solid waste collection fees, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend Section 22-22 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 22 of the Code of Ordinances of Macon-Bibb County to provide a disability exemption from the fee for providing solid waste collection and disposal services, to provide an effective date, and to provide for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the order.
Mr. Mayor, for those who were not in the committee when this was discussed, could we have the county attorney just to give us a quick little summary of what it does? Because I don't remember any of the folks who are out there being in the committee meeting.
Item G, have you got that?
Just the intent of it.
This was proposed by Commissioner Allen, and what it does is it adds an exemption for individuals who are disabled, either under the guidelines of Social Security Administration or the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. The Solid Waste Department has already prepared a application that can be filled out upon individuals' request to see if they qualify for this exemption. And once they qualify for the exemption, then they would be exempt from the garbage fees.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there further discussion or question? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. That brings us to item H, which we have already done. That is to have Black History Month, to designate February Black History Month in Macon. That brings us to item I, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Moreland Altabelli for some additional fees for Jeffersonville Road, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Moreland Altabelli Associates, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $38,000 using funds from the 2017 SPLOST bond proceeds for the purpose of managing the Jeffersonville Road expansion project and for other lawful purposes.
The Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. That brings us finally to item J, which is a companion ordinance to appropriate the money that we just discussed for Jeffersonville Road, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve and authorize the appropriation of up to $38,000 to provide funding for the Jeffersonville Road Corridor Project from funds designated in the 2018 SPLOST project timeline and budget for roads and bridges, subject to GDOT's reimbursement and for other purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. That brings us now to new business. New business is read and referred to committee where it undergoes more extensive scrutiny, and those committee meetings will be held next Tuesday, the 13th, beginning at 9 o'clock a.m. in the committee meeting room behind us here. That new business that has been prepared and sent down thus far include item A, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the state of Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security in the amount of $40,970 to be used by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office to acquire and or sustain an explosive ordnance disposal program. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item B is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the state of Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency in the amount of $3,000 to be used by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office to acquire and or sustain an explosive ordnance disposal canine program. That's the dog that goes around and sniffs for it, I think. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item C is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a HEAT grant from the State Governor's Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $25,096.39 to be used by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office to combat impaired or aggressive drivers. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item D is a resolution to appoint Dr. James Bumpus and to reappoint Gene Dunwoody Sr. to serve on the Macon Economic Development Commission. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item E is a resolution approving and authorizing the closure of a portion of Elizabeth Street from Nussbaum Avenue to the proposed Tyndall Avenue for the purpose of the Tyndall Heights Redevelopment Program. I'm going to refer that to Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Golder Associates in the amount of $9,800 using funds from the 2012 SPLOST bond proceeds for the purpose of performing Lake Tobesofkee Dam breach modeling services related to the Finley Rather Dam. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. And finally, item G, a resolution in support of H.R. 158 in the Georgia General Assembly, sponsored by Representative Jay Powell, a Republican from Camilla, a measure allowing the Georgia General Assembly to dedicate fee collections for their statutorily designated programs. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. There may be other items that come out of the county attorney's office later during the week, so I would encourage you, if you're interested, to check the agenda, which is published on Friday. That will include all of the additional resolutions that are prepared and or ordinances that are prepared and submitted for the committee review beginning next Tuesday, the 13th at 9 o'clock a.m. That brings us now to the final item on our agenda, and that is for public comments on non-agenda items. And first I have Claire Cox who wants to talk to us about the resolution in support of the General Assembly, H.R. 158. Claire, thank you very much for being here. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here again representing Georgia Women and those who stand with us. Our group is actually meeting somewhere else tonight, but I thought it was important to be here. I'm here to speak on behalf of the last item on your agenda. In December, Georgia Women began asking this commission to pass a resolution in support of the Georgia General Assembly's resolution, now numbered House Resolution 158. Georgia Women is a member of the Georgia Water Coalition, and this resolution is a coalition environmental and water quality focus for the 2018 legislative session. House Resolution 158 creates a ballot initiative for a constitutional amendment requiring legislators to dedicate fees collected by our state government for the purpose collected. So why should you as a county commissioner be concerned about this? Because these fees are collected here at the county level, but are sent to Atlanta, presumably for the purpose collected, but they are not always used that way. Instead, a reduced portion of the funds are used for the intended purpose, and the remainder goes into the state's general budget. This means that funds that should be returned to the county level are not, increasing your need to budget greater amounts for items. Examples include, but are not limited to, solid waste and hazardous waste trust funds. Those should be used by local dumps to clean up waste and tires that are placed at our local landfill. The Peace Officer and Prosecutor Fund should be used to train our local law enforcement officers. The Indigent Defense and Public Defenders Program should be used to decrease the cost of indigent defense paid by county taxpayers. Joshua's Law should provide driver's ed to teen drivers. These are but a few examples. There are more. The Georgia Water Coalition is collecting urging resolutions from city and county government entities asking for passage of House Resolution 158, 19 of which have already been collected to date. Georgia Women is enlisting your help to communicate to the Georgia legislature that we desire funds that are collected for a specific purpose be dedicated for that purpose. My reason to speak tonight, when this is first appearing on your agenda, is to express the need for swift action in getting a Macon-Bibb County resolution passed and communicated to state leadership. This House bill enjoys bipartisan support. House Resolution 158 passed unanimously out of the Ways and Means Committee and was considered today in Atlanta by the Rules Committee and is expected to pass the House shortly. The Senate's consideration of House Resolution 158 will not occur until after crossover day, which is February 28th. And its pathway may not be as smooth. That's why the urging resolutions from various local governments are needed. So Macon-Bibb's resolution needs to be voted on as soon as possible in order that the weight of your requests can be felt at the statewide discussions. Thank you for considering this, and I urge you to pass it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. We appreciate you being here and appreciate your comments. Next, Mr. Wade Horton wants to talk to us about the Transit Authority. Mr. Horton, thank you for being here with us. You're recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I come to you today trying to make things a little bit better at the transit, and I think we are making some progress. I guess a couple of sessions ago when y'all had meetings, I heard that you guys had appropriated about $18,500 to study the possibility of changing routes or adding routes and extending routes on Sunday. And these are some of the things that we have been advocating for some time now, so I'm pleased to hear that. I would, of course, like to know, did that originate from this body, or did it originate from the Transit Authority, or how did that come about, so that get a better understanding of the intent of that. Also, a few months ago, I talked to you guys about trying to attend meetings at the Transit Authority, and the doors were locked. And I reported back to you that the doors had been unlocked. And what I meant by that is, if you don't get there time when the meeting start, they were closing and locking the doors so people in the public couldn't get in. I was late getting there one day. That's how I discovered that. And I was also late getting there and discovered that the doors were now open. However, the doors of the meeting are still not open. A couple of meetings ago, Ms. Glover requested that we get a copy of the agenda. We noticed that other people had the agenda, but we were not given a copy of it. So after that, we were given a copy of the agenda. Before they vote on items that are on the agenda, previously, they will vote after public comments. But after we received our copy of the agenda, the comments suddenly became the last thing on the agenda, after all of the votes were cast and solidified. So, of course, to me, that doesn't seem, good. You're not allowing the public to vote on items that you are going to vote on. And it's coincidental that it happened right after the request for us to get a copy of the agenda. That shows some intent in mind for me. Also, prior to us getting a new CEO, they went to having meetings every other month. The past meeting, I requested, and haven't heard anybody respond, that we would like to be on the call list for special call meetings, because they said that they would have meetings every month, but if they needed a call meeting, they would have one. And based on some of the information that was gathered during the last meeting, they're going to have a call meeting, because some of it was time-sensitive stuff that they didn't vote on. So we want more access to the meetings. I mean, we are going all the time, and we feel like we're being left out. Now, as far as the money, the $18,500 that was for the study, we never heard any of that in the MTA meetings, and we had been going to all of the meetings. So that's why I'm kind of wondering, when did that originate? Because that would be good to know, so that we'll know that the people who are trying to get this money for this study are operating in good faith. Now, simple, just allow us access, allow us to be able to talk about issues on your agenda. The reason I'm here is to inform you, because these are some of the same reasons, that all of them building up, why I had suggested several months ago that you guys look into taking over the transit for more competent leadership, because we're not getting that there. Now, I asked the question, I want to know who is the executive board of the Transit Authority. because it's my understanding the executive board appointed the new CEO and did other things, but no one knows who is on that board. Such a powerful board, we should know who is on it, because I was at a meeting several months ago, and there was an item that was recommended to be approved by the executive board, but it had to come before the board that I'm attending the meeting. So I'm like, oh, I thought this was the board, but there is another the board. So I would like to find out who that is. It's a lot of stuff that we're discovering more and more. The more we attend, we're discovering that doesn't really make sense. So I implore you to keep on looking into taking it over, and I am going to provide you more information in the coming weeks about my thoughts on the process of electing and appointing from the executive board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your comments, sir. Next, Ms. Irma Shute. Hey, Ms. Shute, she wants to talk to us about the partial closure of the alley at behind 1835 College Street alley, I believe. Ms. Shute, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, this is a little bit a private matter, but it's important to, in case you might deal with a rights-of-way matter in the future. My name is Dr. Irma Shute. Our family owns the land at 1849 College Street, which is adjacent to the new Mercer Dormitory 7, which the Mercer Lofts builders are preparing to build right now. So the university is now our next door neighbor, and we love Mercer. But before the Christmas holiday, I had written to most of you commissioners regarding the fact that the university is petitioning to close part of the back alley of our neighboring lot, the lot next to us. That is, but we share the right of way with the university, and we need part of that neighboring alley whenever we have to make a wide turn every time we take our vehicles, whether it's a boat or a car, in and out of our back alley. Also, the Mercer Dormitory builders stated during our zoning board meeting with them last December that this particular alley segment of our neighbor will actually become the required fire lane that they are required to put by law. So actually, if they would really fulfill that, there would be no more problem, and I wouldn't have to be talking here. But here's the problem, though. I don't know, because I have reached out to the university and the dormitory builders and have not gotten any response to them. So the reason I came here today actually to speak to this honorable assembly is because our family needs an update as to where their petition process is now at, you know. We know that somewhere the university has submitted a formal petition, and we have been requesting a copy of it. We want to see it. Our lawyers want to see it. So is there anyone here, whether from among you who has a copy of this Mercer's petition to close part of the 1835 College Street alley? Both the zoning board and the engineer's office told our family that it's here with the commissioners, the county attorney's office. But I've spoken to the main people. Apparently they don't have it, they said. So I don't know who to turn. So I had to bring it up here today publicly. But I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our county attorney, Crystal Jones, for providing me with a copy of the procedures that are being followed when someone or an entity is petitioning for the closure of a street or alley. As expected, that file that she gave me states that the petitioner, whoever it is required to discuss and get the approval of all parties who share the right-of-way. Well, the university has not done that with us yet. They never had any discussions with us at all. Our family is the one that keeps on reaching out to them, but they don't respond to us. And to be fair, so we're a little bit worried about their silence. To be fair, we suspect that Mercer would do the right thing and recognize the sharing of this right-of-way between us. But we want to see the language of their petition with our own eyes to make sure that we are on the same page. I do not want, and our family does not want, being surprised and then being forced to take legal actions later on. So it will be best for all parties to be forthcoming now at this early stage and bring everything out to the table and discuss the matter politely. What gives me hope is Attorney Jones' use of the word partial in her letter to me. She said, Mercer is petitioning for a partial closure of the 1835 College Street alley, so perhaps the university is granting our request after all, but we need to see the actual petition. To be sure, we will not be asking for anything that does not belong to us to begin with. The easement right to our alley or driveway has been attached to our property for the last 135 years, based on the year 1885 plat that accompanies our property. We will not permit anyone to just disregard or disrespect that vested right that is more than a century-old right-of-way. Like I said, we're optimistic. We're hoping that Mercer will do the right thing on this. I thank you all for listening to me today, this evening, and I have emailed all of you a copy of my address tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shute. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Next, Mr. George Greer, who wants to talk to us about Mercer University's drive in the alleyway. Mr. Greer? I'm glad you're here, sir, and you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the chance to talk to you all tonight. I just want to emphasize to you that I appreciate all of the care that goes into any development here in town. I appreciate property rights here in Macon-Bibb, and I can assure this commission that the concerns that have been expressed about any alleyway have been thoroughly vetted through a search of the property records, and we are in fact continuing to examine those records and make sure that no one's rights are being violated with this development. I just wanted to say that here to the commission, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Greer. We appreciate you being here, and thank you for those comments. Next, Mr. Harold Young. Mr. Young wants to talk to us about all that jazz and a presentation from the Tubman Museum. How are you, Mr. Young?
Fine, sir. How about yourself?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you all that attended All That Jazz a couple of weeks ago at the Tubman Museum, one of our biggest fundraisers. This year was the largest and the most successful one that we ever had, and we wanted to thank the commission and on behalf of the board of directors, Dr. Andy Ambrose and myself as a special events director and all of the board members. We want to thank the commission and the city for supporting the Tubman Museum. On behalf of the Tubman, we will present you all 2 guest passes on behalf of Black History Month. We want you all to come and visit the Tubman Museum, and also we're getting ready for the Pan-African Festival, which is we had to move it this year to Century City Park because we've outgrown the area and it's become very successful. We're really proud about that. So we're moving it to the Century City Park, the 22nd year. We call it the Homecoming. So we really are excited about what's going on at the Tubman Museum, and we want to thank you all. So I have guest passes for all the commissioners and also the mayor and all the city attorney. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Young. We appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. That's very kind. Next, Mr. Michael Jones wants to talk to us about the animal control on Fulton Mill Road. Mr. Jones, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your patience, and you're recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lucas, you mentioned in your resolution on Black History Month about the need to remember our history so that we don't repeat it. Part of the need for that is also not just so that we don't repeat it, so that we can correct our shortcomings when we fail. And I want to address what I believe is a shortcoming within our county. Mayor Pro Tem Tillman, my family began in Bloomfield, and in 1984 we moved to our current location on Fulton Mill Road. And outside of about 4 years where I was in school, I've lived there my entire life. My mother and father purchased the property that we live on. They moved our company there, and over the years my sister and I have both married and brought our families back there. Our whole family resides on this piece of property. Our business is there. You may hear an advertisement about Atlantic Station being live, work, play. 4315 Fulton Mill Road is my live, work, play. I live there, I work there, and I play there. It should be a place of my own rest and relaxation, and it is no longer. My business is Jones Glass, And if you ride by the Navicent Hospital, you'll see our name on that sign. We employ almost 25 people full-time and a number of subcontractors that work for us. And it's headquartered here in Bibb County, and we do a lot of glass work for this county. I live there. I work there. My vendors and my clients, when they come to visit me to make sales calls or to inquire about new work, this is what they listen to. They come in my office and they ask me, "You have to listen to this all the time?" I say, "Yeah, pretty much so." Yeah. I live there. My address is 4265. I have 4 small children. We normally put them to bed around 7 to 8 o'clock at night. I put them to bed in their bedroom, and this is what they hear going to bed. My wife was ill over this past weekend. She stayed at home. She didn't do any of our family activities on Saturday. She didn't go to church with us on Sunday. My wife doesn't like to particularly watch TV. She doesn't like a lot of noise. She'd rather have laid on the couch and read her book and just rested and snoozed and relaxed. This is what she listened to all weekend. I go home in the evenings and I can't relax. Usually I'll walk home, and that's my commute. That's what I hear all the way home. Inside my house last night, it was louder than my television. It was louder than my television. The audio that you were listening to right there occurred overnight. That's midnight. That's what it sounds like at my house at midnight. I laid in my bed last night because I couldn't watch TV. It had so driven me angry, and anxiety was rolling through me that I went to my bedroom just to read my book. And I had to have white noise. I had to have a fan 2 feet from me to drown out the noise from this dog pound. So I'm asking you to find the money within your budgets to overcome this shortcoming. I believe it's a shortcoming because I do not believe this was how the animal shelter was designed, how it was intended to be built, and I'm asking you to find it to correct this problem. Not tomorrow or not next fiscal period, immediately. It needs to be done immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Your time has expired, but we appreciate your comments and appreciate your patience being here with us tonight. You're very kind. You're very kind, sir. Mr. Jones. Next is Linda Jones, who was talking to us a little bit earlier, but wants to address us again about the dog pound on Fulton Mill Road. Ms. Jones, you recognize for 5 minutes. Adjust that microphone so we can hear you, please.
All right. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight, and I do appreciate the job that you do. I want to tell Mayor Pro Tem Al Tillman that I also appreciate him and his statement regarding the Crazy Bull. I'm glad that he made the comments he did. If you look at the newspaper, you will see that we are having crime waves. Just absolutely, it's just ridiculous what you read in the newspaper. And these are young people that are killing each other, and I would bet that part of it is drugs and the other part's alcohol. But anyway, to speak to you about Fulton Mill Road, as my son said, we have lived there over 30-something years. We've got over about 70 to 80 acres. My children live there, my grandchildren live there. When we moved out there, it was a beautiful, quiet retreat and home and place to play. Well, that's gone. I mean, you do not have Easter egg hunts, you don't have youth gatherings anymore, you don't have family gatherings, because this is what you listen to if you're outside. Okay? All right. Now, one of the things Michael didn't really impress upon you is the noise during the night. I mean, he told you about it, and he played part of it. But, I mean, as Commissioner Allen will tell you, getting a call after you've gone to bed at night and being woken up and listening to dogs does not put you in a very good mood. And we have been dealing with this since it's been out there, basically. We fought having it moved out there. We met and had meetings, and we were present, and we voiced our concerns. Those concerns were just washed under the rug. People that have small children or elderly people that are sick, you know, they say, well, you know, we can deal with it during the day. You know, but these people that are having to try to put a young child down for a nap, or you're sick and you're elderly. My husband, he sleeps mostly during the day because he can't sleep at night, and he's sick. He has been sick for probably the last 5-6 years. So, I mean, there's no rest during the daytime from this noise. And this piece of land, it was a beautiful piece of tract of property. And, you know, as a businesswoman, you know, I look at that piece of property and I see what could have been done with it, how it could have been developed and could have improved Bibb County. It's beautiful. We could have had a subdivision out there and brought more homes and families. I mean, you know, we wouldn't have thought even having some additional business, some office complexes out there, we wouldn't have thought that. You know, but what has been brought out there was like they wanted to move a waste management treatment plant out there. You know, you wouldn't want this in your neighborhood. And if these dogs woke you up at 1 and 2 and 3 o'clock in the night, you would be raising the roof with somebody. You know, I've written a letter probably a year and a half ago to the mayor. You remember it, but you did delegate it out to Mr. Layson, I believe his name was, and he did contact me. Nothing has been done. I met with Commissioner before Joe Allen, and I just expressed my concern then. Nothing has been done. I mean, it has gotten worse. It has come to our attention that the pound, or the animal welfare shelter, which was supposed to be for the animals' welfare, which I would think would be to improve their care, their treatment, well, that's not happening. My daughter visited over there, I don't know if it was a week or so ago. The animals are in cages as you walk in. There's just stacks of cages. The sheriff's department has told us that they have brought animals out there, and there's so many animals that are being kept out here in this pound that there's not room for them inside. I mean, and it's heartbreaking. You know, I love animals, but I love my sleep. Now, I'd like to implore you to think about something for a minute. All right, I know we have probably spent millions of dollars to put this pound out there, this building. Okay, the building was not placed like we were told it was supposed to be. It has been changed. So we're getting all of the noise. But this piece of property, we could take that animal shelter, that building, and we could move the animals somewhere else where they would not be interrupting the sleep and the welfare of other people.
Thank you very much, Ms.
And
Jones.
this piece of property could be
used
to
Please,
develop. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. This piece of property could be developed and could be used for homes and other business things. We could easily move that animal shelter to another location that would be better, and it would be better for the community as well. And I appreciate your allowing me the extra time.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Next, Michelle Burgess wants to talk to us also about the animal control.
Much. First of all, let me say this is way out of my comfort zone, so you know it's got to be bothering me for me to get up here in front of a bunch of people and talk. And you gotta love family, because you know 5 minutes ain't enough to say what you gotta say. So we tag teamed. We came down here because you need to hear it. I honestly was gonna play 5 minutes worth of video for you, because I don't think you still understand what it does. I'm exhausted. I am losing sleep on a nightly basis. I homeschool my daughter. Yesterday afternoon, we take a break, we go outside, and this is what we hear. I'm gonna pull it up for you. I'm exhausted. I have got where I call the sheriff's department and I tell them, you need to come out here. You need to go over there. You need to do something. I call them at 2:30 in the morning. If I'm awake, I want someone to talk to, so come on out here and hang with me. And they go over there, and you know what they tell me? There's trash left out. There's food left out. It's attracting the critters. There's possums and raccoons all over there. The dogs are going crazy. You know, you walk in there, and I kid you not, on the cages, they're stacked. Y'all have no idea. Go visit the animal welfare shelter. And there's signs on them, angry. And them dogs are angry. I wouldn't want them as a pet. The noise is just, it's off the chain. This is yesterday afternoon. You can hear it over the cars passing by. You hear the cars? And I seriously thought about, I'm just going to let them listen to it for 5 minutes and see what their nerves are like. I'm tired. Everybody's picking a word this year, you know, courage and strength and inspiration. I don't know what your word is or what your phrase is. Mine is, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done asking for help. I have been in contact with Tracy Ballou for 6 months now. I got my text and my messages and everything to prove it for 6 months. I send her the video, and you know what I get told? Oh, I'm sorry. The batteries on the dog bark boxes ran out. Let me replace them. How many times do I have to call you? How many times do I have to send you a video? Replace those batteries every day if they need replacing. The truth of the matter is she goes home at night and she's gone on the weekend. It's not a concern. It's not a priority. It's not a concern of anybody that doesn't live right there across the street. And my daughter, she doesn't sleep well at night because she gets woken up by it. It's not enjoyable to go outside anymore. And we love to be outside. We are an outdoor family. We love to play. And and you know what? Speaking of welfare of those animals, what was on the news a couple of weeks ago? I mean, all over the news. Bring your animals in. It's too cold. Bring your animals in. Don't you leave them animals outside. It is too cold. Do you know those animals were outside all through the snow? Do you know those animals were outside all through the Irma? That storm came through. Them animals were outside. Do y'all know that? It's animal welfare. I mean, there's a problem here. It's overcrowded. It's probably underfunded. It is not taken care of. It is not cleaned. And then nobody wants to do anything about it. And I have for 6 months been talking with Tracy back and forth and got nothing done. So I'm done talking. And I will go wherever I need to go to get some action done because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And there is nothing like a woman who loses her sleep and is exhausted. So I want something done. I want it to be made a priority, and I want you, like my brother, to find the funds to get that wall that we were promised 3 years ago put put up, and it better be a wall that really does what it's supposed to do, not something that you think is going to appease us and make us go away or be quiet. I'm done. I'm tired, and I can't express it any other way. I'm mad. I'm angry. I have lived in Macon almost 44 years. I have lived on that property almost 34 years. That's my home. And I want to know why them dogs are more important than I am. They don't pay your taxes. They don't keep y'all in jobs. What are they doing to benefit this community? But they got more rights and better privileges than I'm supposed to have. And I'm done. I'm done. I want some action.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your time has expired, but we appreciate you being here. Ms. Westbrook, Gwen Westbrook wants to talk to us about the Navicent Health Indigent Program. Thank you very much for your patience and for being here tonight, Ms. Westbrook. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening. I have always been supportive of Navicent Health receiving funds from the county because they do provide indigent care for people who cannot afford health care, do not have health care. But for a few years now, that has changed. Beginning last year, we've gotten complaints, but starting last year, we got tremendous complaints regarding not being able to receive health care from Navicent Health. From people that have life-sustaining illnesses such as strokes, heart problems, congestive heart failure, those are life-sustaining illnesses. When I met with Navicent Health last March, I made some recommendations for them to change because their policy, which now is called Care Partners, that's a program that provides indigent care. I recommended that some changes be made because the changes that the policy created a lot of barriers, which made it almost impossible for people to get approved for Care Partners. With having worked in that position for many years, I was employed there for 22 years, and I know what's supposed to be done and how it's supposed to be done. The changes were made. The next meeting that we had, the changes had already been made. The policy had been changed, and they had posted it on their website, but there's still barriers and there's still things in place that are not, that they're not providing the care. They're more looking at being private than they are providing care. A lot of their patients that are discharged from the hospital that do not have health care are being referred to private physicians or being referred to First Choice. And if these agencies are gonna be seeing the patients, then they the one that need to be getting the money. I understand that you all gave them $400,000 this year. They should not be getting the money if they're not gonna be providing the care for the people of this community. I have had meetings. I've sent requested information. Barriers are still being placed where people cannot afford health care. Care Partners last year, Navicent Health serviced about 5 different counties. That's Jones, Monroe County, Baldwin County, and Bibb County, and Crawford County. Care Partners had about 115 active people that are in Care Partners. That's a very low number for them to cover that many counties. And the people that are being discharged, they're allowed.
Ms. Westbrook, you've got about 2 minutes left. I've noticed you've got 2 slips up here that want to talk on two different subject matters. 2
different subjects, yes.
But you're limited to 5 minutes, so you may want to address the other issue before you run out of time.
But I just want, you all need to start holding the Navicent Health accountable for the money that they're given. They're not providing the indigent care that you all think that's why the emergency rooms are overcrowded. They're not providing outpatient care for people that have life-sustaining medical conditions. Also, the next issue I wanted to talk about was The NAACP was founded in 1909 by a group of black and whites, but we do realize that discrimination still exists. The NAACP, we receive complaints all the time regarding employment discrimination. And what brought me here to talk about this today, because our very own government is in the media regarding to employment discrimination. People are looking at our government. So often, I don't know the circumstances, but I do know, according to what I read, that a person who served in a position as co-chair in a position for county manager was overlooked, that was well qualified. We don't expect for someone to be put in a position that's not qualified, but if a person is qualified for a position and has acted in some capacity in that position, they should not be overlooked. So often African Americans are last hired, they're last promoted, and they're the first to be fired. I just want to make sure that people are looking at us. I just want to say that I hope that's not the case of being discriminated against.
Thank you very much, Ms. Westbrook. We appreciate your comments, appreciate you being here. Next, Ms. Hunt, Sarah Hunt, wants to talk to us about the...
I'm going to give 2 minutes of my time to Ms. Westbrook to finish what she needs to say, if that's permitted. You're giving me 5 minutes, so I'm going to give her 2.
I just wanted to just finish to say that people are looking at our government. Our government should be setting an example. And for this to be in the media, for someone to have to go in the media to get the attention of our government to allege that they're being discriminated against, it doesn't look good in the eyes of the people in this community. I've talked to people in this community. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I know that you cannot discuss internal issues with the NAACP, but it does not look good, and we're hoping. I know that you've hired replaced the city attorney with an African American, but that still does not explain why a person that's qualified for a position was not given the position. And this is an area that the NAACP engages in, because we do deal with discrimination. We have to be real about it. It still exists, and I don't know if it's going to ever go away, but it's real. And I just want to make sure that we understand that discrimination cannot be tolerated in our government. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrook. Ms. Hunt, you recognize...
I came to you...
You recognized for 3 minutes.
I know, 3, baby. I got it. I came to you in November and December on the same issue. And I said, let not the city be charged with discrimination or discriminatory suit. I explained to you the young man's qualifications. I've been dealing with this city government for the 4 years that you've been in existence. And when Dale, whatever his last name was the county manager, whenever I went to him with a problem, Mr. Coney, such and such and such, Mr. Coney. When we had the incident with the waste facility down at the landfill, Latham, the assistant manager, was in charge of that area. When I went to him, Mr. Coney, he'll help you with it. Every issue, I got it in black and white, letters that I've written to them about different issues. Every one of them was referred to Mr. Coney. So what does that say to me? He must have some skill set to do this job, and then he's not being given the job. And then to take the city attorney and make him the interim county chair to keep from giving it to him, that's not speaking well. That's not looking good. And that's upsetting to the community. A qualified African American that has a skill set, has the temperament, The ability to do the job need to be given the job. Now, I am having an investigation done that if the county is sued for discrimination, then the citizens of Bibb County is going to sue the mayor and the commission to reimburse us our money.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt. We appreciate you being here, appreciate your comments. Mr. Willie Frazier wants to talk to us about Linwood Cemetery. Mr. Frazier?
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. You know, the last time we talked was last year, and I'd like to talk, you know, most of this year as well with you guys. I'm still about history and still about black history, and I'm so glad to hear at the beginning of this about this month being Black History Month. But as I told you before, I'm not only about black history. I'm about all history. I'm about black history, white history, and gray history, meaning all that history that's in between. The same way I try to save our historical stuff at Linwood and all throughout Macon, I'm here also to talk about the Booker T. Washington Center, which is a staple in this center that even some of you was a part of. I'm still here to talk about the Arch Jones Center, the Fading Five, all of the things that's fading because of our history, those places that talks about history that's fading in this city that we're trying to save and stuff like that. I continue to try to save that. I appreciate what was done in Pleasant Hill with the Little Richard Penniman House and trying to preserve that, but my eye is still on Booker T. Washington Center. My eye is still on the Arch Jones Center over there. My eye is still on all other things of history here in this city. And Linwood Cemetery, the reason why I stand for that so much is because there's a lot of people of color that's buried over there that gave of themselves, that gave monies, that gave their time, that gave their energy. And when I go over there to try to help cut grass, help clean off some of those people's graves and stuff like that, those people had enough money. Some of those people had enough money to continue that for years. If you go over there and look at it now, you know they're like forgotten people. Cracked graves, things tore up, things tore down, and all kind of people tracking and trailing through there and making a mess of the place. And is that how we supposed to remember these people? Is that how we supposed to respect these people? No, they're not here anymore. But they left a legacy. They left a history. They left things. Mr. Shetall stood for Booker T. Washington, not only for black folk, but for white folk as well, and for any other nationality that wanted to learn something, that wanted to be different, that wanted to do different. And so I stand to try to see if I can preserve that with everything that's in me. You know, if it's a trade for Little Richard Penniman House that tear down Booker T. Washington, you're going to have a problem with me if it disappears. You're going to have a problem with me if the heritage disappears, because the same way I stand for that, I'm going to stand for that statue that's out there in front of the City Hall that so many people raise Cain about. See, I'm not a black person that feel like it ought to be over there off of Riverside. I think it's okay where it's at. I wasn't born in them times. I'm not going to live by that, but I'm going to stand for this city and try to pull this city together, because I don't intend for me, my children, my grandchildren, and all that to be separated because the rest of the world want to be separated. I should be able to come and sit down at your house and eat with you. You should be able to come and sit down at my house and eat and talk with me. And I don't care about the racism and all that, because I'm not racist. And you know what? One day, I told somebody this a long time ago, one day, I'm even going to make a Nazi skinhead love me. And you know what? That might be the hardest thing in the world, but it's something that I believe in, because there is a God. And there is somebody that makes changes in people. And there are some times that we can close our eyes and look at the way we want life to be, but it'll never be that way if we continue to open our eyes to the things that people tend to want to make around us. We're going to turn around and make changes. I intend for you as a commission to make changes in this city. Because you know what? If you can't make changes in this city, I'm going to figure out how to get from out here to up there, and I'm going to see if I can make changes in this city, because it's time for y'all to get some applause. And I'm going to make sure y'all get some applause.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Finally, Teresa Southern. Teresa Southern. Thank you very much for your patience and for being here. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of my parents who reside at 3902 Sioux Drive in North Macon in Commissioner Bechtel's district. I've been in these meetings many times before, and I knew he would probably be gone by the time I got to the podium. I'm here because their trash has not been picked up for months at a time. Now, it's strange because the people that live directly across the street from them, their trash is picked up every week. Now, my parents are 79 and 89. My father has stage 3 degenerative kidney disease. You can imagine the smell of the depends that stack up in their trash week after week as the trash truck comes to the neighborhood and leaves without picking up theirs. You can also imagine my 79-year-old mother who every Friday thinks that somehow she's going to roll out of bed, roll past my father's hospital bed, down the hallway, out the door, and run outside and try to catch the trash man to remind him, hey, there's trash on this side too. I'm also speaking on behalf of my aunt and uncle who reside at 3922 Sioux Drive, whose trash is not picked up either. The rest of the neighborhood enjoys the pleasure of their trash being picked up every week. Now, my parents have lived this residence for the past 41 years. They have never missed a trash payment, and I find it ironic that they live in the very district of the commissioner who came up with this bright idea of privatizing our garbage collections. I am here to ask that their trash be picked up regularly. I'm also here to speak on the behalf of the customer service here at the City of Macon, as my mother has called to address this matter, as she was told many times that the person who answered the phone was too busy to talk with her. One time she did call, however, and someone was sent out that very day to pick up trash. And I do appreciate that, and I'm thankful for that. But again, the next week, no trash pickup. So I'm sure there are other people in this community who are going through this, who pay their trash bills. And I also think that this issue needs to be addressed. And finally, what is the issue? Why is there a company that serves our city that is not effectively doing their job? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Southern. We appreciate you being here, and we'll certainly look into that for you. That's all of the business. Is there any other point of personal privilege anybody has? No lights on. We've reached the end of our agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Without objection, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. 3902 Sioux Drive is what we got.